Hello, today's lesson is the 4.1 through 4.3 quiz review. So this video will just run through each and every problem that is on the review in case you have any questions. This review should be completed on Monday, November 30th, or at least before you take the quiz, which is on Tuesday, December 1st. Okay, so the first four problems here are identifying if it is a polynomial. Remember, the definition of a polynomial is that the coefficients all have to be real numbers and the exponents all have to be whole numbers. So we take a look at number one and we see that this is not a polynomial because we see here that we have x to the negative second, which negative 2 is not a whole number. Therefore, this is not a polynomial. Moving on to number 3. All our coefficients are real and all of our exponents are whole. So yes, this is a polynomial. So I'm going to go ahead and write this in standard form. Remember, standard form, we start with the highest power and then continue with the next highest all the way until we reach our constant term. Then we can take a look at the degree, which here is 3, meaning this is a cubic function. And our leading coefficient here is negative. Or if you put negative 1 there, because our leading coefficient is negative 1. So number 3 here, this is also a polynomial, yes. So we can go ahead and write it in standard form. All of our coefficients are real, all of our exponents are whole. So our highest power here is x to the 4th. So we have 6x to the 4th minus 2x to the 3rd plus 1/2 x squared plus 3x, and then we don't have a constant term in this one. So we can see our degree is 4, and the type of a 4th degree is quartic, and our leading coefficient is positive, or 6. Number 4, this is not a polynomial because we can see our exponent of negative 3. Evaluate the function for the given value of x. So here we're simply plugging negative 2 in all places we see x. So we're taking f of negative 2. So again, we're just simply plugging in negative 2 wherever we see an x. And then when doing this, make sure we put that negative 2 in parentheses because that's going to keep this negative. So if you need to, go ahead and plug this into your calculator. 2 times negative 2 cubed gives me negative 16 minus negative 2 squared is 4 plus, and actually this is going to be a subtract, right? 8 times 2 is 16, sorry. And then minus 10. And that gives me negative 46. So f of negative 2 equals negative 46. Number 6, I do the same exact thing. I'm taking f of negative 3. So simply plugging in negative 3 for x. And then plug all that in and we get 21. Okay, moving on, describe the end behavior. Okay, so for this, I think it's tough to just go ahead and identify the end behavior. So I always need to draw a little sketch. So I look first at what degree is it? It is 6th degree, right? So I'm going to be looking at that term right here. 6th degree, so they're both either going to be up or down. Since it's negative, they're both down. So just the basic shape is that. That's all I need. I can see as x goes to negative infinity, so as I move to the left, my graph is going to negative infinity. As f of x, as x goes to positive infinity, as I go to the right, my graph is going to negative infinity. Same concept here. I'm going to be looking at 3x to the fifth. I have a fifth degree, so I know my end behavior is going to be opposite. And it's positive, so it's going to end up. And since it's opposite, that means it's starting down. So something like that. And as x goes towards negative infinity, f of x is going towards negative infinity, right, towards the left. And if I go to the right, it's going up. So infinity as x approaches infinity. Number 9, I am looking at 3x to the sixth. So again, even degree. So my end behavior is going to be going in the same direction, and it's positive. So this time it's going to be up, which then both of these are headed towards infinity. And again, my degree here is right there, fifth degree, negative. So this time that means it's going to be going down. And since it's an odd degree, I know my end behavior is opposite. So as x goes towards negative infinity, my graph is going to infinity. And as x goes to infinity, my graph f of x is going towards negative infinity. Now, number 11. So this might be something new. Describe the x values for which f is increasing or decreasing, where f of x is greater than 0, f of x is less than 0. Then circle the degree and the leading coefficient. So I'm going to actually start there because I am pretty confident on that. Both ends are going up, so that means it's even. They're in the same direction. And since they're up, that's positive. So it's an even positive polynomial. Now, we're going back to the concept of increasing and decreasing. So I'm going to trace here. And I know I am decreasing there. So I'm going to be decreasing negative infinity to whatever this value is, which happens to be 4, parentheses, and then wherever I'm increasing, right there, right? So that is 4 to infinity. Now, where is f of x greater than 0? So wherever my graph is greater than 0, so above the x-axis, right, which is right here and right here. Right there are the places that f of x is greater than 0. So those need to be written as intervals. So from negative infinity, right, because this is going to be going forever up forever up. So negative infinity to 3, it's increasing. Or I'm sorry, it's greater than 0. And then again from 5 to infinity. And we are going to connect these by that's called a union symbol. Now I want to take a look, where is f of x less than 0? Well, everything below the x-axis, which is from 3 to 5. Okay, so same concept for number 12. I'm again going to start right here with the D and E. I know my degree is going to be odd because my end behavior is opposite. And my leading coefficient is going to be positive because it's ending going up. Okay, so where is this graph increasing? It is increasing. If I trace here, I'm going up, right? So I'm increasing from negative infinity to negative 1. Then I start to decrease, and then I start to increase again at 1 to infinity. And again, we're going to connect those with a union symbol. Now, where am I decreasing? Anywhere where my pencil starts to fall. So if I trace this graph, which is right here, and that interval is negative 1 to 1. Always parentheses with these. Now, where is f of x greater than 0? So anything, wherever my graph is above the x-axis, right here. Okay, and that is 2 to infinity. Now where is my graph less than 0? That is anything below the x-axis. Okay, so that's all of this, all of this, all of that. Now we have to be careful at this point because we see that at that point, x equals -1, our graph is actually equal to 0. F of x is equal to 0 at that point. It touches the x-axis, so we cannot include that point. So our graph is less than 0 everywhere, right? It's just going to keep going. So from -infinity to that point, -1, and then again, -1 to the point 2. And we're going to connect that with a union symbol because it is equal to 0 at -1, not less than. So that's why we cannot include -1. All right, simplifying. Here we're going to distribute that negative. So I'm just going to head and rewrite this. And then we're going to combine our like terms. So our x squared, that gives us 4x squared. And then our x's here, minus 7x. And then we have 9 minus 5, which gives me plus 4. Number 14, I'm going to distribute that 8x to the 5th. So 8x to the 5th times 3x to the 2nd. So I take 8 times 3, which is 24. And then x to the 5th times x squared is x to the 7th. Remember, when we're multiplying, we add those exponents. Okay, so here this is just -8x to the 6th. Again, this is x to the 1st, x to the 5th. Add the exponents. And then 8x to the 5th times -4 gives me -32x to the 5th. Moving on, number 15, we see that's addition, so I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite this. 8x to the 4th plus x squared minus 9x plus 8 plus 2x squared plus 5x. And again, just combining our like terms, we have 8x to the 4th and nothing to combine that with. So we have 8x to the 4th. Now we look at our x squareds. It gives me 3x squared, 9x and -9x, and 5x gives me -4x, and then plus 8. All right, number 16. So this is kind of like foiling, right? But here we have 3 terms. So we need to multiply 7x to the 3rd by everything, which gives me 28, right? 7 times 4 is 28, and then x to the 5th minus 14x to the 4th, and then 7x cubed times 8 is 56x cubed. And then I take my -4 and multiply that by everything. So I have -16x squared plus 8x, and then minus 32. And we notice that there are no like terms to combine. So our answer is just simply 28x to the 5th minus 14x to the 4th plus 56x cubed minus 16x squared plus 8x minus 32. All right, number 17. We know that 3x minus 5 is 3x minus 5 times 3x minus 5 times 3x minus 5. Okay, so first we FOIL the first 2 terms here. We get 9x squared minus 15x, and then minus 15x plus 25. And then we still have this 3x minus 5, but first I'm going to combine my like terms here. So I get 9x squared minus 30x plus 25. And then I'm multiplying that by 3x minus 5. Okay, so now this looks very similar to what we just did in number 16. So go ahead, we need to multiply 9x squared by everything. So 9x squared times 3x gives me 27x cubed. And then I have 9x squared times negative 5 gives me negative 45x squared. Now I move on to my 30x and distribute that. So here I get negative 90x squared, and then plus, that is 150, I believe. 30 times 5 is 150x. Now I move on to my 25 and distribute that. All right, and I get plus 75x minus 125. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and combine our like terms, and we get 27x cubed minus 135x squared plus 225x minus 125. All right, the second one, we know how to do this. We're just foiling. We get 4x squared minus 2x plus 2x and then minus 1. So we end up with 4x squared minus 1 because these two terms cancel. All right, number 19 is the same exact process as number 17 was. So we have 3x plus 4 multiplied out 3 times. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead FOIL our first two terms. We get 9x squared plus 12x plus 12x plus 16. And then we still have that third 3x plus 4. So again, I'm just going to combine my like terms here. 9x squared plus 24x plus 16 times 3x plus 4. All right, so I start with my 9x squared. And I get 27x squared plus 36x squared. This should be x cubed, excuse me. Now I move on to my 24 plus 72x. And then 24 times 4 is 48. I'm sorry, that should be 24 times 4 is 96. And then x, and then 16 times 4 is 64, which came from right here. I moved on to my 16. So I have 48 and x and 16. Now again, I'm going to combine my like terms. That's an 8. And I'm left with 27x cubed plus 108 x squared plus 144 x plus 16. Oh, it looks like I missed so that's where 108 came from. This should be squared. Okay, and then number 20, again, this is FOILing again. So that's 9x squared plus 15x plus 15x plus 25. So I get 9x squared plus 30x plus 25 for number 20. Number 21, divide using long division. So remember, this goes on the inside, x squared plus x minus 17 divided by x minus 4. Now, what do I need to multiply x by to get x squared? X. Remember, that goes above the x term, so x times x gives me x squared. X times negative 4 gives me negative 4x. When I subtract 0, this is going to turn into a plus, so that's 5x, and then I bring down my 17. Now, how can I get 5x from x? I need to multiply by 5, and I get 5x minus 20, but remember, I need to subtract everything, so that's 0, and this turns into a 3, right? Because that's a positive 20 minus 17, and I can't, now I can't do anything here with that 3, so that turns into my remainder. And remember, our remainder goes over our divisor. And we get x plus 5 plus 3 over x minus 4 as our answer. 22, we have 5x to the 4th minus 2x to the 3rd minus 7x squared. And then don't forget, we need a placeholder since we don't have an x term. So I'm just going to go ahead and do 0x minus 39 divided by x squared plus 2x minus 4. So how do I get to x squared? I need to multiply by, how do I get to 5x to the 4th from x squared? I need to multiply by x squared, but I also need a 5. So I'm going to go ahead. 5x squared will give me 5x to the 4th. Now 5x squared times 2x gives me 10x cubed, and 5x squared minus 4 gives me negative 20x squared. I'm going to subtract all that. That's a 0. This turns into negative 12x cubed. And then since this will be a positive 20, I get 13x squared. I bring down my 0x. Okay, now I need to get to negative 12x cubed, So I'm going to multiply by negative 12x. Negative 12x times x squared gives me negative 12x cubed minus 24x squared plus 48x. Now I need to subtract all of those. So my 12x cubes canceled. This turns into a positive 24, which gives me 37x squared. And then this turns into a negative 48. So that is minus 48x. And again, I bring down my 39 minus 39. Now I need to get to 37x squared. I already have x squared, so I'm going to go ahead and plus 37. So then I get 37x squared. And then 37 times 2x gives me 54. 37 times 2 gives me 74. So I have plus 74x. And then minus 37 times 4 is 148. Again, I subtract all of that. My 37x squared canceled, and I'm left with negative 122x because that 74 is, we're subtracting it. And then plus 109 because subtract a negative, we're adding. Okay, so now there's nothing more we can do with that. So we can go ahead and add that as our remainder. So plus negative 122x plus 109, sorry, that got kind of tight up there, over x squared plus 2x minus 4. All right, two more long division here. X squared plus 5x minus 10 divided by x plus 4. Okay, I need to get to x squared, and I have x, so I'm going to multiply by x. X gives me x squared plus 4x. Subtract. We get x. Bring down your 10. I need 2. Simply multiply by 1, so I get x plus 4. Subtract. You get negative 14. And nothing more we can do with that, so that's our remainder over our divisor. Okay, last one here, we have 2x to the 4th plus 3x cubed. Notice we're missing our x squared term, so we need to add in a placeholder for that. Divided by x squared plus 3x plus 2. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply by 2x squared to get that 2x to the 4th, and I get 2x to the 4th plus 6x cubed plus 4x squared. Subtract. We get negative 9x cubed. That cancels out as a 0. Oh, I'm sorry, that should be negative 3. So we have, it'd be negative 6x plus 3x gives me negative 3x cubed minus 4x squared. Bring down that 5x. Now I need to get to negative 3x cubed, so I'm going to go ahead and minus 3x, which gives me negative 3x cubed minus 9x squared minus 6x. And I'm going to subtract that. Those cancel. Here I'm left with 5x squared. So we have positive 9x squared minus 4x. And then this will give me 11x. Bring down that final one. So I'm going to plus 5 to give me 5x squared plus 15x plus 10. Subtract, we get negative 6. Negative 4x minus 11. Nothing more I can do with that, so I add that as my remainder over my divisor. All right, there's my answer for that. And that's it for long division. Now we're moving on to synthetic division. Remember, using synthetic division, we're looking at our coefficients. So we have 3, negative 2, 2, negative 5. And here is a negative 1, right? Because if we solved, we'd have x equals negative 1. All right, our 3 just goes down. So we have 3 times negative 1, which is negative 3, and we add. So we're at negative 5. Negative 5 times negative 1 is positive 5. Add, we get 7. Multiply negative 7, add, you get negative 12. Remember, this last number is our remainder, and if we started with a third degree, our answer is going to be second degree, so we get 3x squared minus 5x plus 7, and then a remainder, negative 12 over x plus 1. Okay, moving on. Here we have x squared. Notice, looking at just the coefficient, so notice our x term, we still need a placeholder, so we put a 0 there, and then that would be 4, right? We'd have x equals 4. Your 1 just goes down. 1 times 4 is 4. Add, 4 times 4 is 16. Remember, we're adding here, so we get 32. And our answer is x plus 4 plus 32 over x minus 4. So we have 1x cubed, missing our x squared term, so we need a 0, minus 4x and 6 is our last one. Then we have x equals negative 3. Our 1 goes, that turns into a negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Then we add those to get 5. This is negative 15. And so we have a remainder of negative 9. It was an x cubed to begin with, so now we have an x squared minus 3x plus 5, and then a negative 9 over x plus 3 as a remainder. All right, last one for synthetic division. Our coefficients are 1, 4, and then we're missing our x squared term, so we need a 0, 16, negative 35. And then this will be negative 5. Our 1 goes, and we're adding. And 9, negative 5, 45. We get a remainder of 10. Started with an x to the 4th, so our answer is x cubed minus x squared plus 5x minus 9 plus 10 over x plus 5. All right, evaluate using synthetic division. So here we want to make sure, or we want to figure out what f of 2 is. So we go ahead and use synthetic division. 1, negative 2, 4, and 3. Here it's already solved for x, notice. 1 times 2 is 2. You add, you get 0. So we get 0, 4, and 8 plus 3 is 11. So remember, the evaluation is our remainder. So we have f of 2 equals 11. Same concept. 1, 1, negative 3, and 9. Remember, those are just my coefficients. I have x equals negative 4. 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. Negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12. That gives me positive 9. Remember, I'm adding these. 9 times negative 4 is negative 36. Add to get negative 27. So my answer here, f of negative 4 equals negative 27. Okay, last two more. We have an x cubed. We're missing our x squared, so we need that placeholder. X equals 6. Then 30 times 6 is 180. So we get a remainder of 181. F of 6 equals 181. All right, last one. Again, we're missing our x squared term, so we need a 0 as a placeholder in there. F of 10 equals 903. Okay, expand using Pascal's triangle. Remember, Pascal's triangle is this. So we told you you have to understand what this pattern is. And then we're going to 6 degrees, so I'm going to go until I reach that, which is this row right here. Okay, so this is the row I'm going to be looking at for this. So first I go ahead and write out my coefficients. 1 plus 6 plus 15 plus 20 plus 15 plus 6 plus 1. Right. Then I fill in my a term, which is 2x, and I start with 2x to the 6th and go down by 1 each time. And then I move on to my b term, which is negative 4 to the 0, and this I ascend. So I increase by 1 every time. And remember, our exponents should always add to be our degree, which is 6. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and simplify. Okay, so I get 2x to the 6th plus 6 times 2 to the 5th is 32 times negative 4. 2 to the plus 15 times 2 to the 4th is 16. X to the 4th. And negative 4 squared is positive 16. Plus 20 times 8x cubed. Negative 4 cubed is negative 64. Plus 15, 4x squared. Negative 4 to the 4th is 256. Plus 6 times 2x. Negative 4 to the 5th is negative 1024. Plus 4, negative 4 to the 6th is 4096. So one last step here to simplify. 6 times 32 times negative 4 gives me negative 768 x to the 5th plus, and multiply those out to get 3,840. That was messy. X to the 4th minus 10,240 x to the 3rd plus 360 x squared minus 12,288 x plus 4,096 is your final answer. All right, number 34. I'll write that down here. We're looking to the 4th, so now we're looking at this line for my coefficients. I have 1 plus 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 1. Go through, fill in my A. and then go through and fill in my b. And then once I simplify all that, I end up with 81x to the fourth plus 216x cubed plus 216x squared plus 96x plus 16. That is the end of the review. Again, as always, if you have any questions, please reach out and we are happy to answer.